Hey, it's Kennedy Snyder, and welcome to CITCO Streamline, the podcast where I'm diving deep into everything happening at CITCO Water. Let's get to the good stuff. Hey everyone, welcome back to the CITCO Streamline podcast. I have a very special guest here today to kick things off for season 3. Jeff Morrison, CITCO Water's CEO. Jeff, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Glad to be here. I've watched quite a few of these and glad to be a part of it.
Well, why don't you just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, most people probably know quite a few things about me, but I born and raised here in Huntington, West Virginia. Went to high school at Huntington High, the old Huntington High. And then my junior year of high school, I moved away to pursue my tennis career to a tennis academy in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and spent a few years there. And then went on to University of Florida, played tennis and played tennis after college. And then I got a wife, April, who's the backbone of the family. 2 kids, Marlo and Liam. Marlo is 11, Liam 13, 6th and 7th graders in middle school in Lexington, and really growing up. Kids are growing up fast, and a hectic time with 2 middle schoolers for sure.
It sounds like you have a full plate. How do you balance it all?
Well, it's you got to have good support around you. I think one of the things is I think I call my wife the chief chaos officer. I mean, she takes care of a lot of the chaos at home and allows me to be able to do my job the best that I can. I think one of the things that I've had to really work on over the years is really just how to balance family and work. I'm uber competitive. I want CITCO Water to be great. I want to do great at my job, and so it's sometimes easy to get yourself off center there from a work-life balance standpoint. So it's good to have a centering force at home and a great place to come home to, which really helps.
Absolutely. I love that chief chaos
Officer. Yeah, that's
I'm gonna
exactly
steal
right.
that.
He's exactly right.
Since we're a little bit into 2026, how are you feeling as we're heading into this new year?
Well, I think if you think about our growth trajectory from 2022, end of 2022 to through 2025, we've been on a pretty steep growth trajectory, and it's created a lot of fun and optimism around the organization, and it's been great for the growth of a lot of our employees, and we've added a lot of new capabilities and new things. And 2025 was a little bit of a challenging year compared to some of the other years that we've had. And so I think when you think about 2026, I think there's opportunity to get ourselves back on sort of a similar growth path. We've done a lot of things in 2025 that are going to show up for us in 2026. The other thing is in the life cycle of an organization that's, almost 100 years old, you're going to have sort of ebbs and flows in the business. And I think one of the telltale signs that CITCO Water's always, C.I. Thornburg before that, it's always been able to have is just the ability to rebound. We're a pretty resilient bunch, and we've got lots of great people and lots of great things and products and diversity and all the things. So we don't typically have too many cycles where we're down for an extended period of time. So I look forward to 2026. I think there's some challenges that we've got to think about and look forward to into 2026. But I think we've got a really strong outlook and forecast for what 2026 is going to hold.
It's exciting. It was almost like it was a prep year for 2026, right?
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways we didn't do any acquisitions in 2025, which gave us the ability to really work on some things internally. Some of which showed up in 2025, but most of which are going to show up in 2026. It gave us the ability to learn from some things that went wrong in 2025. So I think we do have a good bit of momentum starting out 2026, which feels really good. And knock on wood, if the weather can stay decent and we can keep trucks on the road and people contractors working, I think we'll have a really good, especially a good start to the year.
Is there anything specific that you're looking forward to, or maybe some challenges you're anticipating?
Well, I think as we've grown, we have definitely taken on more. Our people have taken on more. The business has become more complex. There's some things that have growing pains, if you will, that we've experienced, and I think um, coming into 2026, we're really going to try to focus on a couple of the areas where we've had some pain points and some growing pains, and really try to lean in on how we can become simpler, more clarity, and make folks a little less frustrated in what they're doing at their job. Because, it used to be we had 5 or 6 branches and 70 people, and everybody knew everybody, and everybody knew what everybody did, and everybody knew what products and services and what this branch did and what that branch did. Well, now we got 15, basically locations, or whatever the number is today, and lots of different people doing different jobs and different capabilities. And so I think there's just been a learning curve for a lot of folks and we're going to really try to in 2026 streamline it, make it more clear, and help people be more effective at what they're doing every day. I think that's going to be a big thing for us internally in 2026.
Absolutely. I would agree. It's a lot to grasp, especially if you don't come from the industry, and
Right.
then just wrapping your head around that, and
Right.
then
Right.
all the
Right.
all the details that come along with it.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, walk me through a typical day in your life as CEO. I'm so curious about this. Like, how do you get jazzed to start your day? Do you have any routines?
I'm a very routine based person by nature. I love routines. I would eat at the same place every day if somebody would let me eat at the same place every day. It's just like if it's not broke, don't fix it. And so I am very routine based. So I sort of have a nobody. I haven't really broadcast this or told people, but I start every morning. First, I get to the office a, a little later now than I used to because the kids are in middle school, and so they go to school later. So I don't have to drop them off at 7:10 in the morning at school. So I get in about 7:30 in the morning, 7:45, and usually the first 15-20 minutes of my day. I spend with my door closed, and I have a journal. If people have, or a notebook, people have seen me carry around with me, where I write everything. Some people like it on their phone. Some people like it everywhere. I literally have a notebook that I literally write everything down for. And I start at the top of the page, and I have today, and I have either populated it yesterday, but I start with all the things that I know I need to get done for the day. And then I spend a little time reading a passage from the Bible, or passage from a book, or a little devotional that I might do for 15 or 20 minutes total, the total time. And then I open my door up, and I get started. I just have realized over time that if I come to work and I don't have this time to sort of set myself, the day starts happening, and before I know it, it's 12 o'clock, and I haven't got myself organized, and I haven't got anything done. Phones ringing, problems are happening, stuff's going on, and so I really feel like I used to be sort of really a stickler about not my door not being shut, because I always felt like I wanted people to be able to walk in and have a conversation. I also want to be able to hear
Mhm.
what's going on outside. And then Todd Lane, actually, who many of listeners know that work with us, said, "Hey, there's no sin in shutting your door for 20 minutes and getting yourself collected and taking a little time for yourself in the morning." And so that's been a really a cool thing that I kind of do every single morning before I get going. And then I have a much more productive day. I'm more present for people, and I don't feel like I'm getting jerked around in all kinds of different spaces.
No, I really like that, the idea of getting centered and, having a clear mind and a goal to accomplish for the day. I'm a to-do lister as well.
Okay. All right. All right. All right.
I
Good.
like the
Good.
legal pads, and
So
I
I,
like
I'm
writing it down.
so ridiculous about it that I have an orange highlighter because I went to the University of Florida, so orange is the right color. And as I do my stuff, I take a highlighter and I highlight. So my book you see is filled with things to do, and orange highlighter over all the things that I was able to accomplish. So yeah,
It's so satisfying to
it
be able
is.
to
It
mark it off
is.
the list.
It is. It is. It is. It is. It is.
I imagine CEOs rarely get any off days. Do you take time to be completely off and unplug, or is someone always able to reach you?
I would say for the most part, I'm always able to be reached. I do think there are times during vacation with my family where I will leave my phone behind for a couple of hours. If I don't leave my phone behind, um, I can't. I don't take any time off because everything is right here, and phone calls come, texts come, emails come. Even though people know you're off, business is still happening. And my mentality, the way my mind is that I can't just, if it's there, it's really hard for me to not look at it. So the only real way that I get to take time off is when I leave my devices behind. So if I go to the beach with my family, we may go to the beach from 9 till noon, and I may leave my phone. Uh, in my hotel room or in my house in the house we're staying in, and then when I come back, I will take a look at it. But I at least will have had some amount of time off between those times. So I do feel like I'm always sort of working or available, but there are times when I just need to not have anything go on, and so but I really have to be intentional about removing those the communication from my because my nature is just to want to be involved and want to know what's going on and be engaged.
Absolutely. Um, Everybody needs that peace
Yeah,
every once in a
and
while.
it's I love what I do. So I think that's also part of this is that I love what I do and I love the people that I do it with. So it's not horrible for me to go on vacation and have to
Right.
work some, right? It's not horrible, but psychologically, um, you can only take so much. And so if you don't take time, um, we had a meeting last week and had an analogy where things are happening and you're blowing a balloon up. If you don't let some air out of that balloon at some point in time, the thing will explode, right? And we don't want that as leaders. I don't want that as a CEO. I don't want that as a dad, as a husband, or any of those things. So you got to take time to let some air out of the balloon every once in a while. And I do a better job now than I did 10 years ago. There's no question about that.
No, that's smart.
Yeah.
And I'll just say you have a great reputation for being relatable, down to earth, approachable. That was something that I noticed right off the bat when I came aboard, and I think other people would agree with that statement. How do you make yourself that way?
Well, first of all, I think being the CEO of an organization is not really it's a title, right? That some people maybe ascribe power to or those sorts of things to. I think of more of a steward than I do a title. I mean, I've been stewarded the opportunity to take care of Sitco Water. And the other thing about it is we're all humans, right? And we all, whether you're uh, doing what you do or doing what I do, we're all human beings, right? And so that's how I've always thought about things. When I played professional tennis, and you see this with professional athletes, people idolize professional athletes, and they sometimes get unrelatable or the big head, and they do things that are ridiculous, not signing autographs for kids or doing things that they're too busy or they have too many things to do. And what I realized in being on playing professional tennis is Roger Federer is a human being just like I'm a human being. He's a dad just like I'm a dad. He does things the same way that I do things. He's a lot better tennis player than I am. He has a lot different stature in the world than I do. But at the end of the day, the best leaders, the best athletes, the best people are able to separate sort of this title or success level and from their ability to be a human being. And I think from my standpoint, that's the most important thing is what kind of human being you are, not what kind of CEO you are. And so it all goes back to just being a good human being to me and doing the right thing. And that's the way I was raised. And that's the way my father and uncle, and grandfather and grandmother, that's the way they ran this business. It was always where we were a part of what was going on. We were not the bosses. We were not in charge. We were just literally stewarding the success and the direction of Sitco Water. And I think about it the same way. Um, I actually feel, if I'm honest, I don't know everybody like I used to know everybody. All right. And so that's been a big challenge for me, is because I used to know everybody that worked here, and I do know most everybody that works here now, but I don't know everybody at every branch all the time. And so that's been a challenge for me, is to sort of bridge that as well. But I just think we're all humans, and we need to be relatable and in touch with what's going on.
You heard it here. Stay grounded and be a good human if
That's
you aren't already. But I think if you're working here, you're a good
Yeah,
human.
you are. Yeah, and we're not all perfect. We all make mistakes, but at the end of the day, waking up every day and trying to do the right thing for each other is really what's got us where we are. Almost 100 years later.
So, kind of spinning off of that, how do you think people are comfortable sharing their ideas with you? Do you think it's the same
Well,
mindset
I,
or?
I will tell you, that's been an evolution for me as a leader. In the very beginning of time, I was not known for being the best listener. I was known for sort of getting my thoughts on something and going with it without really worrying about whatever else was going on around me, very early on. And had fortunate enough to have some really good leadership coaching from executive metrics, which a lot of people that have been here a long time will know. We use them as sort of a consultant to help us transition the business back, 14, 15 years ago. We started the process. And so had a lot of really good coaching, and uh, have become, it's still a challenge for me, have become a better listener and a better place for people to bring ideas and thoughts. I think one thing that has transitioned for me, Alex Meadows, if he listens to this, will laugh, because he gets annoyed with how many questions that I ask. So I've become a question asker, as part of my listening, being able to listen, is I ask a lot of questions. So if you have an idea, I'm all for it, but I will ask you a million questions about it, because I want you to think about it. I want you to believe in it. I want to understand it better. I want to
Mhm.
know more about it. So a lot of times Alex will call me and he'll say, "I'm going to tell you something, but don't ask me a bunch of questions about it, because I don't have all the answers." But at the end of the day, that has helped me uh, be more approachable with ideas, be able to listen more, be able to gain more of an understanding of what the other person is going through, or what the other person's idea is. And so, but it's not always been one of my strong suits, and I've had to learn and be coached through sort of how to do that, because I'm an individual sport athlete. I did what I wanted to do, when I wanted to do it, how I wanted to do it. I woke up when I wanted to. I ate when I wanted to. I worked out when I wanted to. I went to bed when I wanted to. Nobody else mattered, for so long, and then to snap out of it and then be leading 100 plus people. That was a transition for me, emotionally, and thinking how to handle that on a daily basis. So it's been some work, some labor.
So, since you're a big decider in your role, do you still find time to come up with your own ideas?
Yeah, I think of my role in the decider situation now, with the structure that we have, is painting the vision,
Mhm.
more than making decisions. This is what I expect. This is what I think we should be. This is what I think we should do. And let the really smart, capable people that we have, run with that vision. It's my job to sort of set that vision, to set that theme, to set that overarching, those overarching ideas, and then let the leaders in the organization build into that, right? And then for me to be saying, "Hey, well, we're not getting it here. We're not doing it well here. We're doing it well there. Hey, what do you think about this change?" It's my job to kind of
Mhm.
guide that decision making process for the folks. It's not my job to sort of make all the decisions and push them down. It's more to cast the vision and let the great leaders we have sort of implement all the things that need to go on with my assistance and help.
No, I love that too, and
Yeah.
I'm sure that takes a lot of trust in your leadership team
Yeah,
as
and
well.
we've been together for a long time. I mean, so last year we had the layer of the general manager, which was a learning curve for the general managers and for the organization. We also had some other middle management sort of put in place, and so I think ultimately it all comes back down to trust.
Mhm.
But if you're communicating and you're talking and you're working the way you should, if you hit a bump in the road, it's simply, hey, let's change course. Let's change what we're doing. Let's move this way. Let's go that way. And it's not really a huge ordeal to make a mistake or to be wrong. It's how we learn. Unfortunately, that's how we learn.
I'm curious about your journey to becoming a CEO.
Okay.
How did you get in the position where you are?
Well, that's a great question. So if you go all the way back to the beginning, um, when I was done playing tennis, Eddie had come back to work at CITCO Water. And so as my dad and Ed and Eddie were the three people here. I had some opportunities to go back to school, to work for my agent at the time, to stay in tennis, coaching or helping or teaching or working for the USTA. And since Eddie had come back, Ed and my dad had sort of said, "Hey, is this something that you would want to do?" I had never envisioned myself being involved in the family business with my tennis career and what had gone on there. And so just had never entered my mind. And they said, "Hey, let's stop for a minute and think about whether we think this is the right thing to do. And if it is, where do we put you and what do we do?" And so I remember being at Bob Evans on Route 60, meeting with them about just sort of what the opportunity would look like and what it would be and how it would be. And so, I ultimately ended up, I think, for the legacy, for the stability. I had been living out of a suitcase for better part of my life, and 30 to 35 weeks a year on the road for 6, 7 years. Stability was a big deal for me. Getting in one place, having a home, having a neighborhood, having a city to live in, and make your home was a big deal for me. And so this really provided that for me. And so I decided, hey, let's do this. And so in 2007, I started here in Huntington. Worked in the warehouse, in the service department, sort of learned that whole rigmarole out there with a lot of the guys that are still here taught me, what a piece of pipe was and what a fitting was and all the things, what a pump was, all those things that I had no idea.
Mhm.
Even though I had grown up around the business, I really had no idea. And then ultimately my job was going to be in Lexington. And so I moved to Lexington. That was our second largest location at the time. And we really had a good crew of people to teach me there. Mark Templeton, Tom Robson, guys that have since retired, but Phil Porter, they really taught me a lot there. And so I sort of just made my way through the into inside sales and did a little outside sales management and little engineered products and service department and all those sorts of things. I sort of worked inside and doing all those sorts of things. And then when we decided to go through, Mary Beth came back to work, and my dad and Ed were getting to the point where we needed to make a transition in the third generation. We hired a consultant, like I said, and I sort of landed as the person to be the leader for the third generation of our business, and didn't take that lightly. And a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into sort of getting ourselves to that position, and the new organization to that position. And so that was 10-ish years ago. And so it's been quite a journey and a learning curve for me, a guy who, didn't have experience doing what I do now. I've sort of had to learn on the job with a lot of people helping me and a lot of people showing me the way. So
That Thank you so much for sharing
no,
that.
it's
I've
good.
always been curious about it, and you've got your cousins that are here,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you're here, and your dad, he's still around,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you know, I it's special to be able to work alongside your family. And
It is.
what
It
is it
is.
like? Do you all have times where you butt heads
Oh,
and you're like,
I think that there's always been times where times when you work with your family that you butt heads. I mean, it's just part of it. There's always times when you work without your family that you butt heads.
right,
I think the real thing about family is you don't want it to destroy any sort of family. Once again, being a good human being is the most important. Is more important than maybe your job title or what you do every day. Having a close knit family is more important than the success of CITCO Water, right? And so there's a balance to be played there on how you handle that. I think Ed and my dad were incredible examples for Mary Beth, Eddie, and I about how to handle controversy or handle disagreements when you have them. The organization never knew if they were having a disagreement or not, even though they may or may not have had one. The forward facing Alan and Ed Morrison were always united. And we've learned that from them, that we may have a disagreement, we may get off schedule, we may have a problem, but let's handle that when the doors are closed and nobody's listening, and we need to have a united front when we step outside. And that's the same way for our leadership team, and the same way for everybody. Really, is you don't want to air your dirty laundry in front of the folks that you're in charge of leading and in charge of being of working for and with. And so I think they put an incredible example in front of us, and we were able to. We've been able to do that. We have not been perfect at it, but we've been able to do a really good job of maintaining a really close knit family while leading alongside of our leadership team the business here.
Do you think that your kids are gonna follow in their dad's footsteps?
I think one of the things that has been good for our family in this endeavor, and if you look at successful family businesses, which I've looked at a bunch and studied a bunch over the last almost 20 years, is it's always, I did something before I came back to work here.
Mm-hmm.
Mary Beth did something before she came back to work here. Eddie did something before he came back to work here. We all had something we did, a career we did before we came back to work here. So it wasn't a fallback plan for us. It was a conscious choice to come to work at CITCO Water, which is a different thing than growing up as a kid, just knowing that you've got a family business that you can always go to no matter what else happens.
Right.
And so I think from my children's standpoint, I don't know what they'll do, but what I hope they do is make their own way. And if this ends up being something that they want to do, certainly if I'm still around and working and doing all the things when that's their time to make that will be wonderful for them to be a part of. But at the same time, I want them to forge their own path and not feel like this is something they have to do, or that's hitting the easy button for them to be able to come do this. And so I think, just trying to maintain that perspective with them. They see how hard I work, and they see our people, and they see the transformation of our business, and they hear me talk about it on the phone, and they see all the things that go on. But right now, I think if you ask my daughter and my son if they wanted to work at CITCO, I don't know that would be first on their list. So we'll see. We'll see.
So you mentioned a little bit about leadership coaching, and I'm sure you had your dad as a mentor and the other people that you mentioned that taught you how to run the business. How did you ultimately learn to lead? Was it a lot of following by example, or?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I have always been coached, and so early on, I was just seeking a lot of coaching about how does this go? What am I supposed to do? What does this look like? How do I build an organizational structure? How do we do all the things that need to be done to grow our business? And in the process of sort of seeking that out, reading books, doing all that sort of stuff, I fell on a guy named Patrick Lencioni, who is all about this idea of a healthy organization and a healthy work culture, and what the follow to that is. And if you have a healthy organization and a healthy work culture, that the results for the businesses that have those end up following pretty close suit. And so he wrote a number of books that we have used here over the course of time to sort of build this idea of a healthy organization at the foundation, right? And so the Advantage is probably the one that I've used the most. It just sort of talks about a why, a how, a what, and getting everybody aligned around those things, and being able to really build a healthy organization. That became sort of my goal as a CEO very early on, is to figure out how we can turn this thing around and build a healthy organization, not a vacation destination. That's not what I'm talking about, but a place that has transparency and openness and dialogue and cares for their people and has accountability and all the things that you need to have a healthy organization, and a why. We never had really said what our why was until 2018, when we sat in a conference room that I ran a meeting, and we decided, hey, this is what our why is going to be. And we probably were living that most days, but we hadn't really crystallized it into words on a piece of paper that we could really start to help make decisions around and form the business around and do the things that we do now around that. And so, to long answer to your short question, but a lot of coaching, and then sort of leaned into this Patrick Lencioni idea of a healthy organization, and spending tons of time, energy, effort building into that. And then I think the results sort of followed. Most people would say, oh, we have all these great products, we have all these great things, we have all these great salespeople, we have all these great things. I would say, hey, I would look at it as, hey, it built from the inside out, not from the outside in. And so we were able to make some really cool transitions as we really figured out who we were and what we were trying to do in being a healthy organization.
I am CITCO's #1 fan. I
Well, we
rave
appreciate, we need
everything
fans. We
about
appreciate that.
CITCO
We
water.
appreciate that.
Some people that work here have never worked anywhere else, but as someone that's worked other places and many other places, like just jobs in college, and then as I was
Right,
getting
right,
started in my career,
right.
this place is special.
Well, thank
And
you. We appreciate it.
everybody needs to know that.
We appreciate that. We appreciate
And
that.
just to be able to walk in and every person that you see is happy to see you and greets you and says good morning. That's a small thing, but it's big
Yeah.
and means a lot that, people when they come to work here, they're happy to come to work.
Yeah.
Or at least they appear to be. Like maybe I
Well,
don't know your deepest darkest secret that you
I
don't
know,
like it, but
but I think the thing about it is, everybody's got a lot of stuff going on in their life, outside of the four walls of this building and the other branches that we have. Um, and I think what we were trying to do is take care of not only the people inside the four walls, but the people outside the four walls, the families and the folks. It's in our why of, taking care of people's families. And you can come to work and n not be okay, and it's okay, here, right? People have bad days, people have stuff, they carry stuff in here, but I think there's a general understanding that we're all in this together, and we all believe in each other and trust one another. And there's people that are having personal issues and all the time, but they feel like this is a place, it's a safe place for them to come and be themselves and work hard and make a difference in our customers' days and lives and each other's lives. And if it gets too far, too difficult or too hard, then hey, we've got resources to help you figure that out too. And so it's really just trying to be all those things because we all aren't going to have good days. We all aren't going to have great days. Some days are better than others. But we all are in this together, and we have to, and I think collectively as a whole, we do a pretty good job of taking care of each other.
I would agree, from all aspects, down to, you all offer the free counseling
Yeah,
service,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you put snacks in the break room,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. I mean, those are
everybody,
little things we
little
worked
things
on.
that add up.
Those are little things we worked on early on, just to do some things that are make it easier for folks, right? I mean, and it's their small little things, but they make it easier for people to come to work and enjoy their day. I mean, and that's what we're trying to do. We're also trying to sell things, but I know the happier I am when I come to work, the better job I'm going to do. And the happier you are, the better job you're probably going to do. And so, how do we create an environment? Like I said, it's not a vacation club. We're not trying to, run around here with pom poms and not deal with real issues, because we do deal with real issues and we have real problems. Um, but it's how can we make the day in the life of Kennedy and everybody else here better? And I think that's something I focused on very early on.
Well, I'm appreciative, and
Well,
everyone
thank
else
you.
should definitely be too. I think this is a good point to stop and play a little game.
Okay.
We'll have a
All
little
right. You
break.
told me you told me I needed a timer for this, so I
Yes.
got a timer.
So set your timer for
Okay.
30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Not 30 minutes, 30
30
seconds.
seconds. Okay. 30
Yes, 30
seconds.
minutes would be a little long. We're
Okay.
not gonna
30
torture you all
seconds.
like
30
that.
seconds.
Um, and it's called chain reaction.
Oh boy.
So either
Okay.
since you're my guest, I'll let you start. You can pick any random word, and then I'm gonna try and find a word as fast as possible that relates to that word. So, like an example would be vacation, and you could say beach, and then I could say ocean. And then at the end of the 30 seconds, we'll see how far away we are from
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 the
from
first word
vacation.
from
Okay. All
vacation.
right. So I'm gonna
You're gonna
I'm
pick your
gonna
own
well,
thing.
I'm gonna start in my comfort zone and let's see how far out of our comfort zone that we get here. So this could be tough for you to
Yeah,
start.
good.
Okay. Tennis,
Ball,
racket,
net,
court,
fan,
tournament,
tennis shoes,
socks,
score,
match,
outside,
sun,
cloud,
rain.
bad weather. Bad weather too.
Tennis to bad weather. Tennis to bad weather.
You don't want bad
you
weather
don't
when you
play
play
tennis in bad weather, right? That's the name of the game there. You don't play tennis in bad. That's for my kids do this in the back of the car.
Do they?
I've never I've always just ignored them, and they're back there doing this game. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? And they're like, we're playing this, and I'm like, okay, well, it keeps them entertained. Well, now I understand. Now I
Now
play.
you can play.
Now I can play with them. Now I understand what's going on. Now I understand what's going on. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Okay. Oh, there it goes again.
All right, we're done. We're timed out.
So we were talking about culture. What do you think is the secret to cultivating a successful and people-focused environment? Is it more about choosing the right people, or is it about something else?
So when I went to Patrick Lencioni had a leadership conference called the Unconference, right? It actually was like right when COVID was blowing up and people were sick and you didn't know what was wrong with them. And so that's the time frame we're talking about. And he called it the Unconference because he didn't want it to be like a normal business conference. He wanted it to be different. And Chick-fil-A, who's a company that they work for, who I think has an incredible culture if you go to their restaurant and you're around them.
I worked Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. And I eat at Chick-fil-A every morning. Part of my routine is I eat at Chick-fil-A every morning, a Chick-fil-A biscuit, a medium lemonade, one buffalo sauce, and a pup cup for a penny. They have pup cups at Chick-fil-A, and we stop at the same Chick-fil-A every morning on the way to work. And so when I'm sitting during my 20 minutes, I eat my Chick-fil-A biscuit and drink my lemonade. But they would tell you that the reason that the culture is so strong at Chick-fil-A is because they get, let's call it 100,000 applications for a new store a year, and they pick like 10. And the reason that they're so selective is the owners, the proprietors of the Chick-fil-A go through such a strenuous process that they say the culture starts with the selection of who's going to own your restaurant. Well, if you have the right foundation or building block to start the restaurant, they're not going to hire bad people. They're going to only hire good people, and those good people are going to attract good people. And so that's how you build it, by selecting the right employees. And I do think hiring has a humongous play in developing and cultivating your culture, and firing, unfortunately, has a huge play in that, because if you have somebody who is a superstar but is not a culture fit, they can destroy the culture from the inside, and you don't know sort of what is going on. And you're scared to let an A player go that might be destroying the culture inside of your organization because you're fearful of what might happen because they're not here. Do you lose a customer? Do you lose a vendor? Do you lose some sales? So you become paralyzed by this idea of, do I let the A player go, or does my business might suffer? And so we have, over the years, used sort of a lot of different things about when we think about hiring, but 3 characteristics: humble, hungry, and smart. Jenna would subscribe to this, and we've used it not as much, literally in the last few years, but back in the very beginning of building culture. Humble, is the person humble? Do they have a humility to them? Are they hungry? Are they a go-getter? Are they do they want to be successful? And are they smart? Not intelligent, smart, but people smart. Do they have emotional intelligence? And if you have people that you're hiring that have all three of those skills, um, in our world, those are really important things. And so we started building, but on top of that, Kennedy, what I will tell you is intentionality really is the other driver here. You can hire the right people, but if you're not intentional about doing things and talking about things and having things be done that define or build the culture, you can also have really good people and it falls short. So you still have to give people the ability to shine and the ability to know how to behave and what to do and what's expected and all those things, and be very intentional about building this culture. You can't just do it by hiring good people and turning them all loose. You have to give them guardrails and a roadmap and ideas about what and a vision for what a healthy culture looks like.
No, I like that, and a lot of things here can be taught, right?
Yeah, a
So
lot of
so if you
things. I mean, I
have
knew nothing about our business when I showed up here almost 20 years ago, right? I knew nothing, and my not many people do show up knowing a bunch of stuff. So we have hired for culture and for fit more than we've hired for experience over the years. We've learned that sometimes you can have great experience, but if we're not a culture fit, it's way worse than teaching somebody what to do.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So I also mentioned this, you've had a lot of people here that have only worked at CITCO,
Right?
like a lot of long-term
Yeah.
employees. I mean, I handle the anniversary announcements. I see, 30 years, 25 years,
Right.
and that's for me, eventually one day,
You can hit those.
I'll reach that milestone. But it's mind-blowing to me that someone will want to stay at a place for that long and grow their career and still have a place to go, and they're not going to hit the ceiling in like year
Yeah.
3,
Right.
and be able to try different things and get along with people for that long,
Absolutely.
so, uh, what do you think the secret is to keeping those people around, and why they wanna stay here? I mean,
Well, I think first of all, I'll give credit to a lot of the people,
yeah,
um, because it's not always been perfect here. It's not always going to be perfect here. And so I think part of it is some of the long-term employees have been willing to ride through some bad times with Citco and CI Thornburg Company because they believed in what we were doing. They trusted my dad and uncle. They believed in loved the industry that we're in, and so the people have to get a lot of the credit for the loyalty that's been able to be maintained in many cases around here, because we haven't obviously been perfect, but what I do hope and what I do say to everybody that I interview or talk to about coming to work here is we hope this is the last place that you come to work, because that's how great companies are built. And we believe in this idea of a relationship with our employees, that would we would want people to be here and to develop that relationship and build that over a long period of time. And changing a job is one of the most stressful things anybody can go through. And there's already enough stuff going on in the world. We don't want people to have that to deal with. So we sort of hire for an intentional, like, I don't know, every organization says when they hire somebody, I'm sure they might say to themselves, hey, we want to hire you for the forever, but they either don't care really about that, or it doesn't mean anything, or it's lip service. Like, I really mean it. Like, when somebody jumps ship from one place to another or comes to our organization, like, I don't want them to leave. I want them to be here for 25 or 30 years or however long they want to be here for. And so I think it's another intentional thing to verbalize that and to say it out loud and to know that. And I think I get frustrated sometimes, and we all do, when somebody leaves that is a good person and a good player, and you wonder what happened, because maybe we made a mistake or something went on. That's why I give a lot of credit to the people that are here, because it's so easy. It seems easier now than it did 20 years ago when something doesn't go well, for you to just get up and walk away, from a job or from a difficult situation or whatever. And so, it hurts sometimes when that happens and we're disappointed. But what I will always say is, our goal is for people to be here forever, and to work here forever and to be a part of what we're building. And it doesn't always work out that way, but we're passionate about trying to make that happen.
I love that you set someone's journey with, We want you here. We don't want you to
Well,
go.
and part of our growth trajectory since 2022, when we brought on our investment partner, one of the things we were starting to hear inside the organization was, "Hey, I don't have anywhere to go.
Mhm.
I can't expand my horizons because there's already somebody in that job and they're 40 years old and they love it here and I can't see myself." So people were starting to bump into some lack of opportunity. And so one of the things that when we were making our decision about what to do as we transition the business is if we think about our why, healthy, sustainable, help each employee reach their goals, provide for their families, create happy customers. This helping employees reach their goals was becoming more and more challenging for CITCO because yeah, there were some places where there were really good employees, and unless he left or she left, you were stuck. And so with the growth that we've had, it's opened up an incredible amount of opportunity. All those things are gone now. And I think that's really helped a lot of our people see a path that maybe they didn't have before and brought a little bit of energy and life to some people that maybe were feeling a little bit like they were in a mundane, sort of repetitive situation. Now they've got some new opportunity, and so I think that's been really good for our people to continue to have this idea that you can come here, start in a position, and find your way basically wherever you want to find your way to, with the help of Jenna and you and others in our HR group to figure out where we want to be and what we want to do.
Right, and I've had guests on the podcast, too, that said, "We started here, I tried this position, then I went to that one, and I tried that," and,
Right.
to give people, the freedom and opportunities to try something new if maybe something's not working or they think they could do something even better, I think that's great
Yeah,
too.
and it's we try to promote from within first, because of this idea that we want everybody to help reach their goal, be able to reach their goals. So if you're in a position and you want to go from A to B, we try to facilitate that first. And that's not always the easiest way to go. Sometimes it's
Mhm.
because a lot of times a good employee is leaving a giant hole to go from one spot to the other. And so now you're stuck filling a giant hole. And maybe the hole that they're going to wasn't as big of a void as the one they're leaving. And so but we are intentional about that and try to do that, and I think people understand that and know that, and so I feel like if I think we get a lot of, "Hey, I wanna go here. I wanna do that." Okay, well, we don't have it today, but we know it now, and, we can start to facilitate, and there's a lots of examples of where that's taken place over the last, especially the last 5 or 6 years.
Okay, this is my favorite part of the conversation that
Okay.
I've had planned because I am like a nosy Rosie. Like, I want to know everything.
Okay,
And
alright.
everybody's kept it a secret. I
Okay.
want to know
Uh-oh.
about the future in 2026 and the initiatives and all those things. And I know you can't tell me everything today, but we usually have a word. And
Yep,
last
we've
year it
got
was
we've got 2 we've
performance.
got 2 sentences this year.
Oh, we're
We've expanded our
jazzing
horizons.
it up.
Execute the basics, accelerate growth.
Execute
Okay.
the basics,
And we
accelerate
just
growth.
spent a day and a half in Lexington with the broader leadership team, going through what that means and why that's important for 2026. But at the end of the day, um, 2026 is going to be about a couple of things that are going to be really important. Um, Executing on the basics. What does that really mean? Um, there's been a lot of things over the last couple of years that have become more and more complex at CITCO, and that's not been the best. And we've taken a lot of feedback from employees. We've had pulse surveys. We've had focus groups. We've had 360 reviews. We've had lots of information coming in, and one of the things everybody wants is simpler and more clarity. Okay, and successful organizations are simple and have clarity for their people. And so we want to go back to the basic fundamentals of being a wholesale distributor, buying things correctly, pricing things correctly, inventorying things correctly, sending bills out to customers correctly, responding to customers timely, communicating the very basics of what makes a great wholesale distributor. We want to do all those things incredibly well, and we want to be able to give the employees metrics and clarity around what are the things that we need to be doing to make sure that we're doing those things well. So we have had lots of different things to track into metrics and do all these things. We're going to have very clear, defined 2 or 3 goals for each department or each human, depending on where you are, on how we can execute on the basics and how we can know whether we're doing that well or we're not doing that well. And so that's going to be the first thing that we think about when we talk about 2026. And then the accelerate growth part. Okay. We have to grow this business sales dollar wise. We have to grow it. We have to sell more things to more people. We have to go into new territories. We have to make acquisitions. We have to do the things to accelerate the growth of the business. And so, what we don't want to look at gross profit and say our gross profit goal for 2026 is $165 million. We want to talk about the things we have to do to assure ourselves to get to $165 million. What are the leading indicators that are going to show us that we're doing all the things we need to do to grow the business to get to that level? So same thing on execute the basics, accelerate growth. What are the things we need to be doing? How many new customers do we need to be calling on? What's our pipeline need to look like? What are the leading indicators to show us that we're going to get to 20 to $165 million? And so what I'll say is also about it is when things get too complex and too difficult and people don't know where to turn or what they're getting measured against or how to do their job well, there's a level of frustration that sets in and maybe feel overworked and frustrated and don't know where to turn and how do I get this done and all those sorts of things. And we want to try to eliminate as much noise and chaos as we possibly can and have things be very simple, be very easy, be very clear. And so that's what 2026 is going to be about. We're going to have also a better cadence of accountability so that if our goals are X, Y, and Z, it's not about calling Kennedy into a meeting and saying, hey, we're behind on this. Why? It's about saying, why are we not where we said we were going to be? What are the reasons? What are the roadblocks? What are the obstacles? What are the things we need to learn so that we can get ourselves? So we're going to have a lot more accountability around, are we meeting those metrics? Why aren't we meeting those metrics? How can we get ourselves back on track? Those sorts of conversations with people so that they're clear, have clarity, and we have understanding of what's going on. So execute on the basics, accelerate growth. That's going to be the theme for 2026, and all within the confines of our why, right? We're not going to deviate from that and be able to really simplify things for folks and start to work on some. As we've grown, it's become harder, and we've got to go back to the basics and make sure we're doing things the right way.
No, I'm so excited.
So,
Thanks for sharing that
no,
with
it's no
me.
problem. No problem.
But on the
No
edge of my
problem.
seat.
No problem.
Why don't you close us out with our why?
Our why, to be a healthy, sustainable organization that helps each employee reach their goals, provide for their families, and creates happy customers. What does that mean? Healthy. We talked about it earlier. Healthy organization, hiring, intentionality around culture, doing things to take care of people, their families. People joke about our swag all the time, about how nice it is. That's intentional because we want people to feel like they're getting something they want to wear. They're proud of the brand. They're proud of the culture. They're proud to put it on their shirt. They're proud of the stuff they're wearing. That's another healthy, intentional thing. Just things like that we got to be intentional about to be healthy. Sustainable, we've got to make good financial sound decisions in the organization to keep the lights on, the doors open. It's one of the 5 pillars of our why. It's not the pillar of our why, but we have to be mindful of that. Help each employee reach their goals. We need to be a vehicle to help you and everybody else here reach their goals, whatever that is. Everybody's are different. Everybody has a different idea what success looks like. Everybody has an idea of what they want to do. That changes. We got to be a vehicle at CITCO Water to help that and to facilitate that. Take care of families. We're a family business, family-run business. We understand family. We all have them. What can we do to help take care of and be a support vehicle for the families that are behind the scenes here? We have 165 employees. If you extrapolate that into families, you're probably talking 500, people that are engaged in having somebody work here at CITCO Water and impacting their family. So we got to be intentional about that. And then lastly, most importantly, probably is the customers. We have to have happy customers. We have to take care of our customers. We have to solve their problems. We have to make them want to come back. They have choices of where they want to go, where they can buy things. We have to be somebody that they rave about when they do business with us. And so, if we can do all five of those things, I think we do all five of those things. And when you have a company that can do all five of those things, it becomes a 100-year-old. I mean, we didn't have CITCO water from 1931. The Morrison family did not, and certainly. But if you think about 1931 to 2026, we're just a few short years away from being a 100-year-old company. You can Google some statistics on how many 100-year-old companies there are in the United States, and it's a really, really small percentage of the overall companies in the United States make it to 100 years. And so you have to have the foundation of that why in order to be able to make it from 1931 to 2026 in the way that we've made it. And I'm super proud of what our people here have been able to accomplish, and all the wonderful people that came before me and that are here now. But we want to stay true to that why every single day.
Well, if this episode doesn't motivate you for 2026, I don't know what will. I'm feeling so energized. Thank you, Jeff, for coming onto the podcast and sharing your wisdom and story with me.
Thank you for doing it, and thank you for taking my gentle nudge when you came on board here to reinvigorate this and to do it in a way that is super professional and in the way that you're doing it. So thanks for taking the time to include me and to do it the way you're doing it. It's been wonderful to see the guests you've had on, and I'm just really glad you didn't make me eat any hot wings. That's all.
No, no. We're leaving the hot sauce in the box.
Okay, good. All right, good.
Well, this concludes season 3, episode 1. We'll see you next one. Thank you.